people's use of oil-soaked tundra as a fuel for their cooking stoves and oil lamps. The groundwork that led to the discovery of the Prudhoe Bay oil field was laid by the United States Geological Service beginning in the early 1900s.
In 1901, the U.S. Geological Survey were the first people geologists to cross the Brooks Ranges. We have a written record. At that time, Mr. Schrader, who was a very sharp geologist and noted it, the Brooks Range, the geology, and especially the Cretaceous sediments out in front of the Brooks Range, is one of the largest sedimentary basins in North America. They wrote a very excellent report, and that was the beginning of setting up the nomenclature for the years to come. And so then when we went in for the oil industries in the 50s and the 60s, we followed that same pattern. Many of us did, some did not, but we did. And so it was pretty well set up. So what we were doing, and I was doing, was mostly improving on what they had done, because as far as I'm concerned, they made no mistakes that they could have been keelhauled for.
Oil industry interest in Alaska's northern region grew, spurred on at first by commercial oil production at the Katala field on the Gulf of Alaska. But the discovery of oil and gas deposits in the much more accessible regions of Oklahoma and Texas meant that for the time being, the Arctic would remain distant and forgotten. Following World War I, strategic military concerns turned the country's attention back to Alaska's North Slope. In 1923, President Warren Harding signed an executive order creating the Naval Petroleum Reserve No. 4, a 37,000 square mile section of Alaska's western Arctic coast that was set aside in anticipation of future military needs. But it wasn't until World War II, with Alaska's important strategic location recognized, that serious oil exploration began.
We started out in 1944 and went through to 1953, 9 years of geologic investigations. And we worked the rivers from essentially Cape Lisburne to the Canadian border. When we did the geologic field work, we did not have the helicopters or everything else. We were flown in before the snow left the ground, like around the 15th of May, and then we would unload and set up our tents near a stream and put up our boats and then wait for breakup. And then when breakup came, we essentially did the same thing that Mr. Schrader did in 1901 and Smith and Murdy did in 1924 through 26. So, except we had that airplane there, which was a heck of an advantage. We didn't have to use dog sleds or anything like that. We could be flown in several days, in a matter of hours, and be on location to start our work.
Although oil exploration on the North Slope initially proved disappointing, by 1957, oil was discovered further south in Alaska, this time on the Kenai Peninsula. The Swanson River oil field on the Kenai was originally developed by the Richfield Oil Corporation, predecessor to the Atlantic Richfield Company that would later go on to discover the Prudhoe Bay field with its partner Humble Oil. Under the Statehood Act, Alaska's first governor, Bill Egan, selected 104 million acres of land previously owned by the United States government. Included in the selection was a 125-mile stretch of land on the coast between the Naval Petroleum Reserve and the Arctic National Wildlife Range, now known as ANWR. The Arctic region was chosen primarily because state officials believed there was an excellent chance of finding oil there. The bold move was to pan out favorably for the young state.
It probably has to do with intuition or vision or whatever. But I remember flying through Anatuntic Pass and